Hello and welcome to the next matchup in the Zinc only sunscreen versus series. Really quick, Rose's Beanie Baby is right here, which is a unicorn shark dolphin. It's an interesting combo. And really quick, I just want to say I purchase all these products with my own money. I'll never waste your time with sponsored ads or videos. So if you want to help support the channel, check out nobsbeauty.com. Check my Patreon community or click on the Amazon link below. Okay, so today we've got the newer, this is interesting, the new Versed Guards Up sunscreen. And they're going against one of the older sunscreens out there, which is the Paula's Choice Light Wrinkle Defense Sunscreen, which has been around for a while. I think one of Paula's Choice first sunscreens. So it's interesting, kind of, because technology changes, there's a lot of new advances, and things change. So will the new come and swap out the old? We'll see. Okay, so my first criteria is alcohol, and both of these products are free from denatured or drying types of alcohol. So that one is a tie. They're also both fragrance-free, another tie, and then they're both manufactured in the US. So we've got a couple ties right up the bat. Now we get down to texture. So let me do it like I did last time. One hand on one. So there is the Paula's Choice product, which has a beige tint to it. And I will just keep smoothing in so you see how much effort it does take to smooth into skin. Especially, even though my hands are super dry, it takes a little bit of time. And when I took photos, I spent a couple days taking photos of me wearing each sunscreen, nothing else. And this one did noticeably take a lot longer than a lot of the other sunscreens to smooth in, which sometimes isn't always an issue, but there you go with that. Okay, and then let me do the Versed Guards Up sunscreen on my other hand. Trying to do the same amount, but there we go. Okay. You see that? It is smoothing in. My hands probably aren't the best for this because I do have dry hands, but I think in the end it does show up how the sunscreen will really work on your skin. So there you go. Okay. So for texture, the Paula's Choice liquidy gel texture, smooths over skin, easily does take finesse to apply and does take a little bit of time to absorb. And once it does absorb, it sets to kind of a natural finish, not a super matte finish and not a super radiant finish. The Versed Guards Up gel texture smooths over skin really easily, absorbs quickly, sets to a natural finish. Although I will say the Guards Up does have a slightly tacky finish. So, but it does absorb a little bit quicker than Paula's Choice. But if you're a gal and you're going to set it with powder, use foundation over it, that makes it not as big of a deal. Unless you're a gentleman and this might be all you're using, then you have a little bit of a tacky finish, which isn't always, sometimes great. But the Paula's Choice has a nice matte finish. But overall, for my texture, I just think the Versed is just a little bit nicer texture because it smooths in a bit quicker, absorbs a little bit easier. Then we get to the white cast, and the Paula's Choice, they both obviously have a tint. The Paula's Choice has a light tint that will be universal for most people with light to medium skin tones. I feel the tint can be a little bit too much for those with deeper skin tones, which makes it not as universal the deeper you get. The Versed has a similar shade of tint to it, but it sets to kind of an invisible finish. And in my opinion, it makes it great for a lot of those with light or deep skin tones. Once it soaks in, it pretty much sets to an invisible finish. And I've read a lot of reviews from those with olive to all the way to deeper shades. And most of them commented that it is invisible. Although there were a couple people with deep skin tones that said it did have a little bit of a noticeable cast. So I'm not sure. Leave a comment if you've tried it and what your thoughts are. But overall, for the white cast, I think the Versed is a little bit more universal and a little bit more invisible, actually, overall. Okay, then we get to the filters. So the Paula's Choice, 13% zinc oxide, SPF 30. The Versed is 15.2% zinc oxide, an SPF of 35. which is impressive that they can include that high of a amount of zinc oxide and still make it really invisible. So for the filters, I gave it to Versed. They just have a little bit more filter, a little higher SPF. 30 is the lowest you want to go every day. And then the higher you go, the diminishing returns, you know, the higher you go. If you go up to 50, that doesn't necessarily mean you're double of 25. You know, you get a little incrementally better, but not noticeably. But you want the higher you can get, especially if you have pigmentation issues and things like that, the better off you are, especially with UVA rays. Okay, ease of use. So Paula's Choice obviously takes a bit longer to apply. It needs extra time to absorb, and it needs more smoothing and a little bit more effort. And it kind of has a tendency to kind of sit on top of your skin a little bit. That's why you need more finesse and more smoothing, which sometimes, if you apply a lot of layers underneath it, can cause a little bit of pilling. The Versed takes much less effort to apply and much less effort than a lot of other sunscreens to really smooth in. It sets quickly, nice and visible finish, and I will mention the Versed can pill a bit with reapplication. I have a feeling it kind of is from that tacky finish, but if you apply this and no foundation over it, it makes it a little bit easier, although I will say the Versed is easier to reapply, in my opinion, than the Paula's Choice. So for ease of use, I gave the point to Versed. Then we get to beneficial ingredients, the fun stuff. Paula's Choice, known for their use of beneficial ingredients. So we've got resveratrol, quercetin, epigallocin-gallate. I don't know, how did I pronounce that well? I think most people call it EPG or something like that, which is an antioxidant, vitamin E, vitamin C, adenosine, alpha-bisabolol, willow bark extract, pomegranate, and then Haematocos pluvis extract, which is another antioxidant that I can't pronounce. So we've got 10. And then for the Versed, we've got Moringa oleifera seed extract, sea fennel, apple fruit extract, erythritol, ethyl ferulate, which is a type of ferulic acid, sodium hyaluronate, jojoba esters, vitamin E, aloe, and then alpha-bisabolol, which is also 10. So I had to make a distinction because they both have 10. However, in my opinion, the beneficial ingredients in the Paula's Choice product are higher up on the list, and most of them are a bit more beneficial than, say, sodium hyaluronate or aloe. That was it. So I gave that point to Paula's Choice. Then we get to acnegenic ingredients. And this one also is very close. They both have 3. The Paula's Choice has the Cyclopta siloxone, which is a silicone ingredient, polysorbate 80, and hexylene glycol. And the Versed has cetearyl alcohol, cetyl alcohol, and vitamin E. I just call it a tie because both of those products have 3, and all 3 of them kind of have similar ratings on the acneogenic scale. So if you have acne-prone skin, both these, they're not, I guess I pay attention to specific ingredients in case you have a specific trigger, I guess. Okay, then we get to performance, and the Paula's Choice is a nice one, although those with drier skin types might notice that using it several days in a row can make your skin feel a little bit dry, especially at the end of the day or at the end of the week. So in my opinion, I've been able to use the Paula's Choice, but use it like every other day. Because if I use it like 5 days in a row, by that 5th day, my skin will be very, very dry and flaky. The Versed, although it sets to a nice matte finish, it still feels hydrating and not drying. It's a great option for people that hate sunscreen because once it applies, it kind of feels like your natural skin. No real grease, no white cast, no dryness. So for performance, I just found the Versed to be a little bit better and a little bit easier to reapply throughout the day. Then we get to price. So the Paula's Choice 2 ounces, 60 milliliters, retails for $33, which equals 55 cents a milliliter. The Versed is 1.7 ounces, 50 milliliters. It retails for $22, which comes down to 44 cents per milliliter. These are both very affordable compared to the last setup of First Aid Beauty and Supergoop. Those were like in the 80 cents range. So these are much more affordable, but the Versed obviously wins that barely. Still pretty close. And you know what? Check for promo codes. Those can always make a huge difference in price. Then we get to the It Factor. They're both great. The Paula's Choice has some really nice beneficial ingredients and antioxidants, no fragrance, and no alcohols. The Versed, very affordable, a mostly universal skin tint, a little bit higher SPF, no silicones in there. So overall, I give the It Factor to the Versed. It just has a lot going for it, especially the fact that it's newer and, you know, they've had the benefit of researching all these other sunscreens that have come out and being able to cherry pick what ingredients they want. And sometimes there's a benefit with that. So overall, the total points, the Paula's Choice, including the ties, has 6 points. And the Versed with the ties has 12. So they pretty handily beat the Paula's Choice. So I guess sometimes new is better. Not always, but I guess in this case, in general, the new product is a little bit better. So the Versed will go on in the next series to compete against the First Aid Beauty. So that will be their next matchup. But tomorrow, the competition will be between the My Shell Protect Sunscreen and the Suntegrity 5-in-1 Moisturizer. So be sure to check that one out. And interested if you guys have had a chance to try either of these and what your thoughts are. So leave a comment. I love hearing from you. And stay tuned for more tomorrow. Thank you so much, guys.